In a business that seems to only favor the most ruthless and violent of men, some women have stepped up and shown that they can be just as ruthless and dangerous, if not more. Stick with us to find out about the women who were feared and respected as we go through some of the most dangerous female narcos in history. Angie San Clemente Valencia. Angie San Clemente Valencia was a Colombian beauty queen and a lingerie model who later on became the ringleader of one of the world's largest syndicates. Born in Colombia, Angie was a beauty queen who won the Reinado Nacional de Café, but was soon disqualified and dethroned after the organizers found out that she was married, and her husband was involved in the drug business. Soon, along with her husband, they built a drug cartel, but the cartel wasn't big enough to bring in the money that Angie dreamt of. She saw the bigger picture and had a bigger plan. Soon, she left her man and decided to form her own cartel. But this comes with a twist. The cartel was made up mostly of beautiful models, who she believed to be unsuspicious beautiful angels. Angels or not, they did bring in a lot of money for her. This went on for a few years, but everything must come to an end. On the 13th of December 2009, a 21-year-old woman, Ariel L., was arrested with a suitcase filled with cocaine in Buenos Aires, Argentina. L needed a better job description as the authorities said she made no attempt to hide the drugs in her bags. The information they obtained from L was enough to issue a warrant against Angie, and she was soon arrested. On the 27th of May 2010, she was jailed and received a sentence for 6 years and 8 months. However, she was released on the 27th of September 2013 and was deported to Colombia, where she was banned from entering Argentina. Clara Elena Laboren. Clara Elena Laboren Archuleta is the wife of imprisoned drug lord Hector Beltran Leyva, who's one of the founding members of the Beltran Leyva cartel, despite once being an ally. This cartel rivaled El Chapo's Sinaloa cartel. Clara Laboren was a former beauty queen from the state of Sonora. She married Hector Beltran while he was alongside El Chapo. Clara is also called La Señora, which translates to the Missus. This is because of how well her husband used to take care of her. She was the one who took charge of washing the money her husband made from the drug trade, but things weren't always so comfortable for La Señora. In 2010, a rival group kidnapped and threatened to hurt her. A photo of her was taken while she was held captive, blindfolded, with her arms bound and several rifles pointed at her. After nearly 2 weeks, she was released. Little is known about what happened in the background. Upon her return, she continued to work on the finances of the cartel. In 2014, her husband was arrested in a seafood restaurant in San Miguel de Allende. Clara decided to take over her husband's business. In an effort to show assertiveness and dominance, she initiated what led to be one of the most violent days in the city of Acapulco. Acapulco became Mexico's most dangerous municipality in 2016. However, in the same year, she was arrested while in possession of 2 kilos of cocaine and firearms. She claimed that the cartel died along with the arrest of her husband and that she had nothing to do with it. She was given a sentence of 2 years in prison. Jimiker Thompson. Jimiker Thompson was a drug queenpin who was at the top of the cocaine trade during the 1980s crack epidemic in Los Angeles. Unlike most narcs, she too had a rough childhood. At the age of 8, Thompson and her mother were evicted from their apartment and were left in the streets. In high school, she dated Anthony Daff Mosley, for whom she also worked as a mule. In 1980, they got married and had a son in 1982, but soon Mosley met his end and he was shot down in a drive-by. What would have normally warned people of continuing down this path did not seem to bother Jimiker. Not only did she continue the trade, she recruited more distributors and made connections with producers from Colombia. With an expanding business, she decided to open a hair distribution business, which was used for laundering her drug profits. But all of this was soon to come to an end. Her business partner, Percy Cheese Bratton, was arrested with possession of several kilos of cocaine. He made a deal with the investigators in which he would provide them with evidence for the arrest and conviction of Thompson. Even though Jimiker evaded arrest, she was eventually arrested at her son's 6th grade graduation ceremony. She was sentenced to life in prison. Sandra Avila Beltran. Sandra Avila Beltran is one of the most famous female drug traffickers in Mexico. She's called the Queen of the Pacific, a name she received ever since she was linked with one of the largest shipments ever to be caught, 9 tons of cocaine off the Mexican Pacific coast. She was one of the most popular and respected figures among the Mexican cartels. In 2004, Los Tigres del Norte, a Mexican band, wrote a song about her named Narco Corrido, which had the lines, "The more beautiful the rose, the sharper the thrones," describing the drug queenpin. She was the niece of Miguel Ángel Felix Gallardo, who was the founder of Mexico's first drug trafficking syndicate. She was born into this world. She used to help her father, who smuggled heroin, but counting the money that he brought in. She had several relationships with men who were involved in the drug world. She dated Amado Carrillo Fuentes, who established relationships with the Colombian cartels. Sandra also got involved into the drug trafficking business as she started overseeing the activities of the Sinaloa cartel. She dated 2 previous law enforcement officers who had joined the cartel. Both of them met their demise at the hands of their rival gangs. She had hundreds of officers on her trail until she was arrested in the year 2007. She spent time in U.S. prison, was deported to Mexico in 2012, and was finally released in the year 2015. Doña Leti. Doña Leti, also known as Leticia Rodriguez Lara, is one of the very few who was daring enough to wage a war against an entire cartel. She was also called the Queen of Riviera Maya because of the region she controlled. Little was known about her early life, but it's believed that she grew up in the state of Veracruz, Mexico. She was into the world of crime at a very young age, and as she grew up, she became one of the most prominent drug traffickers in southern Mexico. Interestingly, this drug trafficker was actually a member of the Federal Judicial Police. She later on left the forces to join the Sinaloa cartel led by the infamous El Chapo Guzman. Even though El Chapo was fond of Doña Leti, things didn't turn out as planned. People knew she was crazy, but not crazy enough to turn on one of the biggest cartel leaders in the world. She then went on to become an ally of the Gulf cartel and tried her best to make her way to the top of the ranks. She was also a primary contributor in bringing down the Los Zetas cartel, which was also one of the most brutal and lethal cartels around. However, Doña Leti had a weakness. Her son was arrested in Quintana Roo. Ever since then, she constantly traveled between Cancun and Mexico City in a desperate attempt to find connections to get her son out of jail. On the 9th of August 2017, she was arrested in the state of Puebla. She was 48 years old at the time of the arrest. Griselda Blanco. Griselda Blanco is one of the most ruthless drug queenpins the world has ever seen. Even though she had many names, her most famous one was La Madrina, which translates to the godmother. She was a front for the Medellin cartel. Griselda was into crime when she was just 11 years old. She kidnapped a boy from her neighborhood and proceeded to murder him when his family refused to pay the ransom that she demanded. At the age of 19, she fled to Medellin and later immigrated to the United States illegally and settled in Queens, New York. There, she was to set up a cocaine business, which happened to be one of the largest ever. She had to flee back to Colombia. Upon her return, she settled in Miami and came back with a hunger. She had a good reputation and relationship with her higher-ups in Colombia, who gave her the best of their men to take care of their rivals in Miami. She was so brutal that she would ask her men to kill every living thing located where her rivals were. She's involved in at least 200 murders and had made nearly $80 million per month at the peak of her career. She was one of the main figures in the Miami drug war. She was arrested on the 17th of February 1985 and faced a sentence of 15 years. She was later deported to Colombia, where she served her remaining sentence. On the 3rd of September 2012, she was assassinated by a gang of motorcyclists on the corner of 29th Street in Medellin. Is the extra bit of charm going to make all the difference in this ruthless business? Will we be seeing more women narcos as time passes? Let us know what you feel in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more interesting crime stories.